Hi everyone! Welcome to our first virtual story time and circle time. I sure wish Miss Kuhn was here beside me, but we're gonna make do with just me today. And I wanted to start off by talking about our day today. Today is Tuesday, March the 31st, and it's our last day of the month of March. So I'm wondering, do you remember what month comes after March? If you're not sure, remember you can always sing the month song and that will give you your answer. So let's try the month song together. January, February, March and April, May, June, July and August, September, October, November, December. These are the months of the year. So I bet after that song you remembered that tomorrow our new month is going to be April. So today's our last day of March, tomorrow will be April. Okay, like we do for every circle time in the morning, we're gonna start with a good morning song. I thought we would start with the Good Morning Train today. And since you won't be able to see your friends, when I sing everybody's name, maybe you can think about what your friend looks like, because I'm sure I'm missing all of you and I'm gonna be imagining you all in my mind while I sing. Okay, you ready? All right, here we go. The good morning train is coming, how are you? Choo choo. The good morning train is coming, how are you? Choo choo. The good morning train is coming, the good morning train is coming, the good morning train is coming, how are you? Choo choo. And we'll say hello to Charlie, our how are you? And we'll say hello to Marley, how are you? And we'll say hello to Charlotte, and we'll say hello to Carmen, and we'll say hello to Clara, how are you? And we'll say hello to Aaliyah, how are you? And we'll say hello to Sela, how are you? And we'll say hello to Ian, and we'll say hello to Philip, and we'll say hello to Ryan, how are you? And we'll say hello to Jesse, how are you? And we'll say hello to Augie, how are you? And we'll say hello to Matthew, and we'll say hello to Atticus, and we'll say hello to Jackson, how are you? And we'll say hello to Evan, how are you? And we'll say hello to Audrey, how are you? And we'll say hello to Javid, and we'll say hello to Taryn, and we'll say hello to Anya, how are you? And we'll say hello to Charlie K, how are you? And we'll say hello to Jocelyn, how are you? And we'll say hello to Sky, and we'll say hello to Julia, and we'll say hello to Nicholas, how are you? And we'll say hello to Zachary, how are you? And we'll say hello to Miss Kuhn, how are you? And we'll say hello to Mrs. Lambert, and we'll say hello to everyone, and we're all in this together, how are you? I hope you did the choo-choos. Good job, everyone. Okay, the first thing I thought we would do is I thought we could read a little book. And this book is about a community helper. And a community helper is someone who works in our community who's very helpful to other people. Firefighters and police officers and doctors and nurses. And right now, when we're at home being safe, there's some other community helpers that are making a big difference and keeping us safe and healthy. And those people are truck drivers and grocery store workers and pharmacists and some people that work in important offices. All those people help to make us safe and make it so we can stay home, because that's the best thing that we can do right now to all stay healthy. So I thought we'd read a little book about community helpers. This one is, of course, about a firefighter, and I bet you could tell that because of the picture on the front. You can see that George has a firefighter hat on. So it's called Curious George at the Fire Station. George and the man with the yellow hat were visiting the fire station. "Hello, George," said the fire chief. "How would you like to wear a fireman's hat?" George put on the big hat. Then they looked at the fire engines. "We're proud of them," said the chief. "We keep them as bright and shiny as we can." One fireman was polishing a big brass bell on the wall. "This is our alarm bell," said the chief. "Whenever there's a fire, it rings." Another bell was on the engine. "We ring that bell on our way to the fire," said the chief, "so that people will get out of the way." And this is Sally, our Dalmatian. She just had 10 puppies. The puppies stay in the basket on the second floor with the firemen. They all went up to the second floor. The puppies were in a straw basket by the wall. "Yip, yip, yip," they barked. One tried to jump up and lick George's face. Near the basket was a big round hole with a pole in the middle. "When the alarm rings," said the chief, "the firemen slide down the pole to the fire engines below." Friends, this pole reminds me of our pole on our playground, except our pole is twisty and this one is straight. Think about it. Which one do you think you would slide down faster? A twirly pole or a straight pole? "You may slide down it if you want, George," said the chief. "But be careful," said the man with the yellow hat. Think about it. Do you think George is going to be careful? George slid down the pole like a real fireman. Then he climbed in the fire engine and he sat behind the steering wheel. "Make way! Here comes George the fireman." George was curious. What would happen if he rang the bell? Clang, clang, clang went the bell. The firemen heard it and jumped out of bed. "Fire! Fire! Fire!" they shouted. Quickly, they put on their uniforms and slid down the pole. It was a false alarm. When the firemen got to the engine, all they saw was a little monkey. "George," said the fire chief, "fighting fires is serious business. Get off that engine right now." George felt terrible. At that moment, they heard a dog bark. Sally was looking up to the top of the fire pole. One of the puppies had gotten out of his basket and was looking over the edge of the hole. One more step and it would fall. George knew what to do. He climbed up the pole as fast as he could, and he held out his hat to catch the puppy in case it should fall. Sure enough, the puppy slipped and plop, landed right in George's hat. "That was using your head, George," said the chief. "You saved the puppy. I'm making you an honorary fireman of our station. You can keep that hat, too." "Come back to visit us any time," shouted the chief, as George and the man in the yellow hat got into their car to drive home. The end. Friends, if you know someone in your community that might still be working, maybe it's a firefighter, a police officer, a paramedic, or a grocery store worker, or someone who works in a store that's really important, maybe you could do something kind. Maybe you could call them on the phone and say thank you for helping to keep us safe. Or maybe you could write them a letter. That would be a really nice thing to do today, to show them that you're very grateful for them. Okay. The last thing I thought we would do before we go is I thought maybe we could sing Down by the Bay. I love that song because it teaches us about rhyming. So I'm going to sing it, and I have 3 verses to sing with you. And then maybe when we're done, afterwards, you can sing it to your family and come up with some more rhymes. Okay, are you ready to sing with me? All right, here we go. Down by the bay, where the watermelons grow, back to my home I dare not go, for if I do, my mother will say, have you ever seen a dog kissing a frog? Down by the bay, where the watermelons grow, back to my home I dare not go, for if I do, my mother will say. Have you ever seen a bunny wearing something funny? Down by the bay, where the watermelons grow, back to my home I dare not go, for if I do, my mother will say. Have you ever seen a moose kissing a goose? Down by the bay. All right, friends, it's time for me to go. Have a super day. Don't forget, if you didn't post yesterday on our Facebook page, I'd love to see what you did during the 2 weeks off, and I bet some of you even wrote a sentence. So if you haven't done that yet, make sure to comment on our Facebook page so Miss Kuhn and I can see it and we can say hi to you, okay? See you on Thursday for the next circle time, and we'll see you then. Miss you. Bye.